for resilience, because I think resilience ultimately is our ability to deal with stress, isn't it? And to cope with it, and to go from stressful state back to kind of, parasympathetic state. What are kind of fundamentals to resilience? Like, I think we mentioned some of the softer ones, which, flexibility, gratitude.
Yeah. Well, I think there's so much. For me as a doctor, I look at resilience in terms of, biological resilience, psychological resilience, immune resilience. So there's different aspects to all these things. So I think some of the simple things you can do is, number one, eat real food, avoid ultra processed food as much as you can. Don't beat yourself up when you have a treat, because that's not great either. But, just try to eat real food. Try whenever you can. And this is not always possible to cook from scratch. I get it. I don't cook from scratch every night, but I do subscribe to some of these organic meal services that have all real foods, all whole foods. You just put them in the oven. So, there's ways to cheat this, but eating real food, that's a big one.
So
try to eat organic.
From farms rather than factories.
Yeah, exactly. And, I get my food from a supermarket for the most part, but I try to buy organic whenever I can, try to buy local whenever I can. Even going out when it's the summer here, we pick apples, we pick plums, we pick berries, we do things with them. We freeze things. We grow vegetables, not a lot of vegetables, but we grow beans, we grow courgettes, just little things, and just a backyard garden. So it helps you to eat real food when you have it kind of close by. I think the second thing is, and this is a really tough one for people, is alcohol intake, because alcohol is universally a resilient killer. Wow. And I say that, people are going to be rolling their eyes, I know, because it's such a ubiquitous part of our culture, especially in the UK. I think in Ireland as well, it's a big part of
hugely, yeah,
culture. And it's problematic for a lot of people, because it's not good for it depresses the immune system. It can it leaves the brain in a more anxious, depressed state after the initial boost. It actually impairs different phases of sleep. So, we really have to be careful with alcohol. And I think a lot of people do overuse it, and it's so socially normalized. So sometimes, especially if patients are on a budget, I start with just eating real food, and I say, just take an alcohol holiday. And we start with 4 weeks, and then sometimes we extend it to 8 weeks. And a lot of times they just feel so much better. Wow. There's some cool new things coming out on the market. There's a spirit now by one of my colleagues at Imperial College, Professor David Nutt. He's come out with this alcohol-free spirit that does make you feel a bit buzzy. And so a lot of times I tell my patients, take a bottle of that with you to a dinner party. It's a good conversation starter anyways. And just top your drink up with that instead. And once they get used to it, they say, you know what, I didn't really miss the alcohol actually, and I didn't have a hangover. So it's harder when you're out, when you're at a restaurant or you're at a pub. That's when it gets trickier. But the real food, the alcohol, and spending time in nature, doing something to relax your nervous system, that is another really big thing. We really, even myself, having a baby, I work full time. I don't live in central London anymore. For me, a big part of resilience was going to my dance class every week, but it's in central London. And I haven't been back. I'm actually starting to go back now. I took about 6 months away because life just got really busy. What type of
dancing?
Contemporary dance. I'm very bad. This is going to make it sound like I'm some great dancer. I'm not, I promise.
But it sounds so cool to prioritizing dance. Like, that sounds brilliant. Your inner child must be delighted.
Yeah, I have a wonderful teacher. He's been teaching dance for about, I would say almost 50 years.
Wow.
And he's still dancing. He's still in the best shape of, it's amazing. So I find, when I get to his class once a week, even though it takes me almost an hour and a half traveling on the train each way to get there, but I've decided recently I have to start going again, because for me, it brings so much joy to my week that, but it's sometimes these things that feel very frivolous. And when you're a mom, you have the mom guilt, and you're busy and you're tired. But at the end of the day, sometimes these things that seem frivolous are actually really good for our spirit. And that's actually really important for resilience too.
That's a great point.
Yeah, I like the idea of things that kind of inflate our spirit. That is there's a huge healing power of that. And even like the idea of going out with friends and maybe having a couple of drinks, even though alcohol as a rule typically can be quite anti-resilient, but the laughter, the joy, the friendship, the connectivity can outweigh.
But that could be just a walk in the morning, or it could be a coffee in the morning. There's a million ways to do it. But I think what you're hitting on there is the relationships and the therapeutic effect.
It's the relationships.
of having friends that you feel accepted and belong to, and you feel you can be yourself. Like, I think that's probably what you're saying.
Well said.
But it's true. I think when people have to stop drinking, especially in this culture, they do feel quite isolated. So it is that balance, isn't it? How do you go out and enjoy a drink with friends? Maybe it's just having one, maybe just having an alcohol-free spirit, and just making it very casual about it. Because you're right, the connection you get from those moments is very healing as well.
Yeah. We run an alcohol-free challenge every January, so it's always amazing to see. We gave it back 20 years ago, not because we meant to, but it was just happened, and we didn't really think about it. But when you see, the challenge of going through it, the social,
and it's kind of just changing your whole social cycle. Instead of meeting friends to go out in the evening, maybe it's going out at sunrise and going for a walk, or exercising, or going to dance class. It's just socializing differently.
Yeah, you're right. You have to completely rework your social life when you don't drink alcohol. My husband and I both don't drink alcohol now, and we become more daytime people now. With kids, it's easy actually. So
night time's for sleeping. 9 p.m. I gotta go. Go to bed.
Exactly. Yeah. Time to go to bed.
Yeah, I love that.